Welcome to Truth Talk Live.
All right, let's talk.
The truth is, I can't hide it, I can't hold it no more.
A daily program powered by the Truth Network,
This is kind of a great thing, and I'll tell you why.
where pop culture, current events, and theology all come together.
Speak
Your mind.
And now, here's today's Truth Talk Live host.
It is 8:11, and in the world of Date the Word, Doc Carson. You think about Ecclesiastes 8:11, which says, because sentence against evil work is not executed speedily, therefore the heart of the sons of men is fully set on them to do evil. What that means is that when Robby Dilmore was in the 6th grade,
many moons ago,
and for whatever reason, evil got into my heart, and I decided that it would be really funny to get up behind the teacher when she could not see me and kind of do the little devil sign behind her head. What I failed to realize was that those school doors have a window in them for a reason, and the principal had seen this action from down the hall. And he acted speedily, Doc, and executed speedily. I mean, and back in those days, you may know we had the Board of Education, because we're talking about like 1966 or 5 maybe even. And oh my goodness, I didn't think about ever doing that again. How about you? When did some discipline come your way that helped your heart turn from evil? 866-348-7884, 866-348-7884. The kids are going back to school, and it's actually a critical idea, right, Doc?
yes, discipline has to be done when there is misbehavior. That's what this verse is conveying. And the lesson the way I've titled it through the years is, it takes discipline to do discipline. My children never, I'm using that word, Robbie, never misbehaved at an opportune time.
Yes. And so, when you think about this in your own life, like when you see people getting away with stuff, right? And oh my goodness, it just happens time and time again. And maybe in your life you just remember, like, wow, I was doing this because I saw other people get away with it. But for some reason, I was always the one that got caught. How did that work out? Maybe you got to cut a switch, and you can remember doing that. 866-348-7884, right? You rejoiced when your dad cut down the switch tree.
Oh my gosh. And if you didn't get one that was thick enough, they made you go back and get another one. I don't know if you ever had that experience. There's a component of this verse, if you don't discipline the misbehaving child, if you don't discipline the misbehaving person, when we think about crimes being committed, evil gets set in the heart. But there is Proverbs 21:11 that says, when the scoffer is punished, the simple is made wise. And I heard a preacher say, if my child's misbehaving, spank the child next to him, he'll straighten up. And I think there is a component there. When we do see other people getting their discipline, I still, when my 7th grade teacher, with her very thick Board of Education with holes in it, Robbie.
Oh yeah, so it would lessen the wind resistance, so they can get a swing on you. When
she took, let's just say it was George, behind the bookcase and told him to bend over, and you could hear wham. You know what? I straightened up. I did not want that to happen to me. So there's something about when we do discipline, and the Bible has so much to say on this. God even does discipline. Those he loves, he chastens. And I've experienced a lot of love from God in my life, Robby. But coming up with a philosophy on our discipline, Ecclesiastes 8:11 is one of those verses every parent has got to come to know. Every school teacher has to come to know. Every politician needs to come to know. I want to know where they stand on carrying out discipline.
And every campus pastor, right? Because I love the story about the boy. This is a great story. Well, you could be thinking about yours and calling us at 866-348-7884, but the kid that came late to chapel and you let him get away with it, what were you thinking?
Oh, my goodness. You try to figure out when to give mercy. And so I had a guy that he skipped chapel and he was sleeping. He was tired. I knew he'd had a long night. So you know what I said?
He was a baseball player.
He was a baseball player.
A man after Doc's own heart.
Yeah. And so I didn't write him up. Well, a week goes by, and all of a sudden, there he is, sleeping again. Well, he didn't have a long night the night before, so I wrote him up. Well, he gets these reprimands. He's all upset. He goes to my supervisor to appeal, and my supervisor says, Niles, why are you appealing this? Because it's very clear you didn't go to chapel. You were in your room. You were sleeping. Dwayne wrote you up. Well, he didn't write me up the week before. And I don't like the inconsistency. So my supervisor just looks at me very sternly and he says, Dwayne, do not give any baseball players any breaks. If they're missing chapel, I expect you to write them up. Niles, I'll appeal your reprimands this time, but make no mistake, Dwayne will never give you a break again.
And tell the whole team, right?
And, and go tell the whole team that the reason that we're not going to get any breaks is because I appealed my reprimands today. I accused Dwayne of being inconsistent, and I became consistent in my discipline.
That was kind of cool, right?
Yeah.
I mean, the whole idea is just it's you get the idea that it's fascinating, right?
Yeah.
That my own heart so easily can go whatever astray. How about yours? 866-348-7884. 866-348-7884. And so have you ever noticed that sometimes God has his own form of discipline if you sleep in and you don't do devotions? He writes you up in a different kind of way, doesn't he?
Yeah. And all of a sudden you're out there and things aren't going like it's like, you know what? I didn't put God first this morning, and things are just not falling in line. And that's his way. 1 Thessalonians 5:14 is one of those discipline verses that speaks about warn the unruly. And the unruly is a military term of stepping out of line, so that you're warning them, get back in line. And God comes along and he says, hey, I'm warning you, get back in line. Don't go off on that side path, because there's paths that lead to destruction. And Satan wants to do that. So he's trying to keep us on that straight and narrow path.
866-348-7884. I know you got a story where, for me, I'll never forget Terry Larson, 8th grade. He always carried a briefcase, which back then, there weren't backpacks. People didn't worry about this. We're talking about, 1960. And he carried this briefcase. And this was a 4-story school, Perry Junior High School was. And we were on the top floor in math class. I remember it vividly. And it was near summer, so the windows were open. And he sat near the back of the class. And I walked over there, grabbed his briefcase, and slipped it out the window.
You threw it out the window.
Right.
You slipped it out the window, you threw it out.
I threw it. And then Mr. Tennis came, and oh, man, that was a Board of Education moment. My heart was bent on folly, but how about yours? 866-348 888-7884. Isn't that funny how you can remember their names? Like, what?
You're listening to the Truth Network and truthnetwork.com.
It is 8:11, which means today, date the word Carson, Dr. himself, is issuing this idea, I love it, of Ecclesiastes 8:11, because sentence against evil work is not executed speedily, therefore the heart of the sons of men is fully set in them to do evil. Meaning, if there's no discipline, people don't get the picture that there's a structure there. 866-348-7884. Maybe you want to tell us, in your family, was it your mom? Did she execute speedily? Or did she's like, okay, wait till your dad gets home?
Oh, that's the worst. And when I do parenting counseling, I say, no, don't make dad the bad guy. He's coming home ready to hug his kids and love his kids and go take your son to the woodshed. What? You take him to the woodshed.
Right. They're not executing sentence speedily. Maybe you wanted to refute that. 866-348-7884. 866-34-TRUTH. So when you think of your discipline moments in life, like, wow, it's amazing how they come to you. The person's name comes to you. You can remember the situation. Like, I can see the people involved. Fascinating to me. But the one that I'll never, ever, when it comes to my father, but we would love to hear yours, by the way, 866-348-7884. But my father showed great wisdom, and I'll never forget this particular incident. My little brother, Mark, he pulled a knife on me. We were Cub Scouts, and we were little. And so he had his little Cub Scout knife, and he pulled that thing on me, threatened me with it. He probably had a good reason to, I'm just saying. But nonetheless, he did. And so what did I do? I went and ran and told Dad, right? Dad, Mark pulled a knife on me. And, of course, Dad calls Mark in the room like, Mark, did you pull a knife on him? And Mark goes, no, I don't. Ooh. He's making this up, right? And so my dad was, okay, well, we're just going to decide who's telling the truth here. And I said, okay, well, let's go. And he said, all right, Robby, I'm going to give you this belt, and I want Mark to bend over, and you whip him for first of all, pulling a knife on you, and then lying about it. And, of course, as soon as he gave me that belt, I had no struggle with whipping my brother. And, of course, then right after that, Mark, I want you to, your brother just beat you for no good reason. And he just lied through his teeth. I want you to give him everything you got. And, of course, I felt a couple of these little wet noodles that he laid on me. And he said, that's all we need. And he sent me out of the room. And I don't know what happened between him and Mark. Of course, my brother, like I, had phenomenal respect for my father. And, there was no diminishment of his relationship with either of us. But I've just never forgotten that it was like the wisdom of Solomon right before my eyes, right? And so what does that bring in your heart? That you've seen God at work through discipline in your own life or somebody else's life, quickly or not quickly. 866-348-7884, 866-34-TRUTH. Doc?
When we talk about this, and it's a little lighthearted on that Board of Education, because I think we have to, when I think about the belt and the spankings that I got, so we make a little, but there's different ways to discipline.
Oh, yeah.
You don't have to use corporal punishment, if you will. My father didn't have to use a belt. He didn't even have to speak. Robby, he could just look.
Oh, yeah.
The look.
Usually came with a step towards you.
And one of the worst things, I don't have time to tell the whole story, but I really made a bad decision. I went from something silly to something sinful. And I lied about it. And so when the whole truth came out, and now I know I am going to get the beating within an inch of your life, right? All he did was look at me. And I melted. It was like, how could I disappoint my dad that much? He didn't say anything. He just gave the look. And that caused me, and I think about God and how he looks at us when we are saying yes to a temptation. And I see the face of God, and I realize I'm disappointing him. Don't do this. Don't disappoint my father. And I think it's good with parents when they build those relationships with their children of respect. They don't want to do something wrong and lose their respect, to cause them to be disappointed. When teaching student leaders how to do discipline, we did think about the look, but also how to speak the voice. Coaches know how to say so. Right now, all of a sudden, the way they raise their voice, not to scream, but I've got your attention. And if a parent is always yelling at their child, they're never going to control their child. But if they, at that right moment, matter of fact, there was a lady in Pennsylvania, she had a way of correcting her children by lowering her voice. Now, JD. I mean, right there, everybody just stopped. The moment she went real low with her voice. But you can use a look, you can use a voice to get someone's attention. As well as then sometimes you do have to be patriotic. Lay stripes and they'll see stars.
I remember a renowned story of Pastor Courts at Calvary Baptist Church. That I've always loved this story, that he was in this deacon meeting and they were yelling, expressing their opinions loudly, I suppose, about how they were going to build a high school when there wasn't any funds to do it. And apparently it caused quite the stir amongst the deacons at the time. And I've attended a few deacon meetings to where I can sympathize with the situation. And what I'm told he did is legendary. He just laid his head down on the table. From what I understand, for some great length of time. Like, it went silent when Pastor Courts, because believe me, greatly, greatly, greatly respected man, when he laid his head down on the table, he had their total attention. And after whatever period of time he felt like God needed to get their attention, he raised his head and he said, "Gentlemen, if God wants to build a high school at Calvary Baptist Church, he will provide the money." And of course, there's a big, beautiful high school there, if you hadn't noticed. I know everybody isn't in Winston-Salem, but if you were in Winston-Salem, you ever go by Calvary, you would see that clearly God built it.
God built it.
And, it was one of those things that I just never forgotten. And I wasn't there. I just know of it from even after Pastor Courts and I talked about it one time. That, what an amazing way to allow God to use you, And like you said, you lower your voice, you raise your voice, whatever it may be, but it is folly that is running wild wherever it may be, and there you are, God happened to give you, that moment to make a difference. Blessed are the peacemakers, right?
Yes. I know there are listeners out there, Robbie, and they may feel a little embarrassed to call, to tell about how a spanking changed their life.
Or maybe they think corporate punishment, and I would love to hear somebody's view on whatever it is you think. Wow, Robbie, how can you talk about that's horrible? Okay, I don't know.
Well,
just call
866-348-7884. Call and tell about how correction put you back on the correct path.
There you go. We would love to, those stories, they make the show. We would love to hear from you. 866-34-TRUTH. We'll be right back.
Talk Live.
You're listening to the Truth Network and truthnetwork.com.
Well, welcome back to Truth Talk Live. Today it is 8/11, and we're talking about Ecclesiastes 8:11. Because sentence against an evil work is not executed speedily, therefore the heart of the sons of men is fully set on them to do evil. It's kind of a scary thing, but it plays out in all sorts of realistic ways, and we would love to hear your thoughts on what we're talking about. 866-348-7884. They haven't lit up the switchboards today.
Must be listening and pondering.
We could really call it a switchboard today. Just saying, I kind of like that. We need some more work on the switchboard anyway. 866-348-7884. So, during the break, you made mention of Psalm 141:5. Like, have you ever prayed this? But actually, it's quite excellent.
Yeah, Psalm 141, verse 5. Let the righteous strike me, it shall be a kindness. And let him rebuke me, it shall be as excellent oil. Let my head not refuse it. This is one of those verses that I use for accountability. I want someone to speak into my life. If I'm getting too close to the fire, I need someone to say, hey, don't get that close. Don't put your hand on a hot stove. Don't play with that. It could hurt you. I want people in my life that will speak truth to me in love. And sometimes they speak truth and it's not in love. I still need to receive that truth. But this prayer that David prayed, Psalms 141, verse 5, let the righteous strike me. It shall be a kindness. Wow. Let him rebuke me. It shall be as excellent oil. But then let my head not refuse it. We have to decide how we're going to respond to a rebuke. Am I going to receive that rebuke, or am I going to reject that rebuke? And Proverbs chapter 9 speaks very much into how someone who receives a rebuke is wise. They're wise because they received it, and now they become wise because they will change and do what's right. But you can reject it, and matter of fact, there's a verse in Proverbs that speaks about one who rejects correction is stupid. And Proverbs 12:1, and I'll tell students now, we don't like you using the word stupid, but I need you to know God thinks you're stupid when you're being corrected and you're not receiving it. So don't be stupid at this school.
Well, yeah, we all have it, and it happens all the time, and it's critical in what God has been teaching me on that is that I've got to look at the person that's rebuking me.
Yes.
And do I know this to be a good-hearted, faithful person that is trying to actually do just what it just said? And it takes a moment. It's not like, oh, well, you actually have to listen. And I'm not saying I get this right and all that much, but who rebukes me, other than myself, who rebukes me more than anybody else? Yeah. That would be Mrs. Dilmore. And is her heart good towards me? Oh, absolutely. Like, I can just, even this afternoon, we went for a walk, and then I sat down on the couch, and then, immediately, like, are you going to sit on that couch? You can picture all this now. My head was refusing this rebuke. I'm just telling you, Doc. It wasn't pretty, but nonetheless, it was a kindness, right? Because she doesn't want me, and her heart's good towards me. Of course it is. Of course it is. But it's fascinating. The person that, clearly, the people that are the closest to you are the most likely to have it happen.
When working with, again, school systems, I've been a head of school, campus pastor, was in charge of the discipline system at Liberty there. I don't think this is unique with me, but I've used it a lot. Rules plus regulations minus relationships equal resentment and rebellion. And you got to have the relationship. You've got to build relationships in people's lives.
And then you got the backside of that, which is
relationship plus rules plus regulations will lead to respect and responsibility.
That's beautiful. Good stuff. Well, we got Buddy is in South Carolina. Buddy, you were on Truth Talk Live. We're so grateful you called today.
Yeah, I was wondering, you weren't getting anybody to call you, so I sort of felt bad. So I thought I'd call in and give you a little call.
Well, thank you.
I got a couple of quick stories. So, of course, I've been in church all my life. Mom and Dad Baptist, and we were in church all my life. And I was saved at an early age. But anyway, of course, we were punished. I had a brother and a sister, and so when we did bad things, we got spankings. But a really funny thing that you probably never heard before. So my mom would make us cut our own switch. We'd come in, and we would cut our switch, and we'd come in to get our spanking. But what she did, she had her switch in one hand, but she balled up her fist, and she bit her fist with the other hand. And I said, Mom, why are you biting your fist? She said, so that I don't hit you too hard.
Mm.
Wow. Yeah, that's unforgettable, right?
Exactly. And my dad, I'll tell you quickly, this last thing is, in church, you mentioned he would just have to look at you. I think Dr. Carson said your dad just had to look at you.
Yeah, yeah.
We didn't see, when I got older, we didn't sit with our parents in church, okay? We sat in the balcony with the youth. Well, my dad could see us. All he had to do was clear his throat. And I knew who it was that cleared his throat. And it was over when I got home. You know?
Yeah.
I do know.
He quieted me in church, but then I knew what I was getting when I got home. So I thought y'all would enjoy those two quick stories.
Yes,
and,
sir.
God bless you both.
I got to tell you, I don't think I'll ever forget the one about your mom biting her fist.
That, she did.
That's beautiful.
Oh.
Absolutely wonderful.
They're both in heaven now, but I learned so much from them.
They loved you, right?
Exactly.
I'm with you too, buddy, by the way. Mine are too.
God bless both of y'all, and enjoy your show.
Thank you so much, buddy. God bless you. Wow. That makes my day, Doc, as always. Your calls would too. 866-348-7884.
Well, you know, the seriousness of doing the discipline takes discipline to do discipline. Proverbs 13:24. He who spares his rod hates his son, but he who loves him disciplines him promptly. Back to that speedily. Worst thing I could ever do for my children is not correct them when they're doing something wrong, because when they're doing something wrong, it's going to lead to other consequences. Whatsoever man sows, that will he also reap. And I don't want them to get those horrible consequences. The reason I'm disciplined is because I love you. And so parents out there, when you have to step in, and again, I'm being very transparent here. At no time did my children ever misbehave at an opportune time. That's why the phrase came, it takes discipline to do discipline. I had to be disciplined to do it, to make the decision I'm going to step in. And like Buddy's mom, it takes discipline. Don't be harsh with your discipline. You have to be under control. You can't, since they have flown off the handle, I'm going to fly off the handle. You have to stay under control. It takes discipline. You discipline yourself. And what a picture right there. Mom is biting her hand so that she doesn't hit her child too hard. Because you can be too hard on them, and that will drive them away as well.
Oh yeah, there's a real opportunity, right? As we get a chance to receive it, and we also get a chance to offer it. But you think about it, the ultimate one you don't want anybody to experience is the discipline of hell.
Yes,
right?
Yes.
And so anything, as quickly as we possibly can help somebody to make the choice to go in the right direction there.
Point them to Jesus. Point them to Jesus.
Because again, the thought of somebody going there is beyond anything I want to ever even begin to consider. So, that fits into the whole picture as well. And so what I loved what you talked about a little bit before the show as well, and this idea of when we give mercy, it's not like you just let them get by with it, but you actually explain, look, this is what you deserved right now, but...
One of those impactful verses in my life years ago was Psalms 101, verse 1, where David said, I will sing of your mercy and your justice. And the question of Psalms 101 is, was it written after his sin with Bathsheba, or was it written when he first started out? It was a declaration of his integrity. And I've come to believe he probably wrote Psalms 101 after his situation with Bathsheba, where he had Uriah killed. He was covering up his sin, and God dealt with him very severely. A child would die because of his sin. But David said, I will sing of your mercy. And there was a point in there that David did not get all that he deserved. He realized God had given him mercy. And so as we did discipline with their children, as well as, again, being involved in a school system, we tried to point out right now, you're not getting away with something. If I don't give you the full force of the recommended discipline, like you're supposed to be suspended for 2 days, I only suspend you for a day, I don't want you to think I'm letting you get away with something. I want you to know, you need to understand today a decision was made for you to receive mercy. Mercy means not getting what you deserved. And when God does that with us, we should never feel like, okay, I got away with it. Now maybe next time I'll be able to do some more. No.
What say you? 866-348-7884. 866-34-TRUTH. You could bless a lot of people with your story. We would love to hear it. We'll be right back with a whole lot more on 811, Ecclesiastes 811. How fun.
Talk Live.
You're listening to the Truth Network and truthnetwork.com.
Welcome back to Truth Talk Live. Today we are talking about Ecclesiastes 8:11, with the question being, when did you see justice delayed and had consequences maybe for your heart or the hearts of friends that got caught up in it, right? How did that work out? Or maybe, just your own situation where somebody rebuked you openly recently. And it was like, oh, man, thank you. Like,
they corrected you, and you got back on the correct road.
And it takes phenomenal courage, actually, in my opinion, you see somebody doing something you think they could do better, and you know that they're capable of it. Being able to say the truth in love is not all that easy always. But I'll never forget this. A great story of how it should be done, I think, Doc. I was doing this devotional at the retirement home in Moxville, and there was a lady there. She was, at the time, probably 100, but she lived to be 104, but I knew her since she was 80. Her name was Miss Beck. And I was, given the devotional, and after the devotional, she came up to me, and she was like, Robby, you are one of the most gifted, anointed. I'd love, love, love to hear you give devotions. But
oh, the but.
Today, you used the word golly. And she said, did you know that's a euphemism for God? And when you're doing that, you're taking something absolutely sacred and you're using it in vain. There's no reason for it to be there. And here you have the most powerful thing ever, God's name, and you're using it like that. It's just not, you're too gifted to do something like that. And she said it in such a way that lifted me up at the same time, kind of hit me in the face, and it was like, I'll never, ever, ever forget how she did it in love. But she spoke the truth, and she couldn't have spoken it more plainer. 866-348-7884. Who's done that for you, right? Because you've got some verses along those lines.
Well, faithful are the wounds of a friend, but the kisses of an enemy are deceitful. Our friends will not condone our sin. They will confront our sin. A good friend is going to confront you. They're going to say, hey, this is not the way you ought to be living. And it does. You got to be courageous to do it. Nathan had to have a lot of courage to step into David's life and tell a little story that would get David thinking.
Sheepish.
Yes. And then you are the man. And I don't think there was any joy in Nathan's voice when he spoke, "You are the man." Faithful are the wounds of a friend. They step in and they tell you what you need to hear, not what you want to hear, but what you need to hear.
Right, and so it's lots of opportunities that we have sometimes, and you've got another verse that talks about how, an open rebuke is better than a love concealed, right?
Proverbs 27:5, open rebuke is better than love carefully concealed. If I really love a person, I'm seeing something that they're like this lady with you. She saw something, she heard something. She knows you can be better. You don't need to be taking God's name through the mud. And I'm not even going to use the word, but there was a word I was using one time as a cover-up for another word. My grandmother said, that word is no different. Now stop saying it. And I've never said it since. And that was when I was a kid. And she goes, that word right there, no, you are going to respect God.
That's beautiful. It's wonderful, and there's something about, I don't know how to say, but just older women, when they let you have it, it's a thing to behold. It's beautiful. I love it.
Well, Proverbs 25:11 and 12 says, a word fitly spoken is like apples in a setting of silver, like earrings of gold and ornaments of fine gold, is a wise rebuker to an obedient ear. And part of, again, it takes discipline to do discipline. Whether you're a judge, whether you're a principal, whether you're a parent, when you're out there having to carry it out, that wise rebuke, being able to speak into that person's life, words that will get settled in their heart. And while we haven't had the calls today, Robby, I'm hoping we've jogged some people's memory of when somebody spoke into their life that kept them from continuing to do something that was on a road to destruction. My friend that I did the show with the other day, David Vaughn, one day said to me, Dwayne, are you about through living this way? And
that was literally turned you, period.
Well, it was part of it. And then there was an older man who, in almost the same words, after I wrecked my truck one night because of been drinking, and I had to go wake him up and ask him if he could get his tractor and pull me out of this ditch. And as we were going to get my truck, riding on this tractor, he looks at me and said, are you about done living this way? And both David Vaughn and Harry A.D. had impacts on my life that I finally said, this is not the way I should be living. They spoke into my life. And again, Psalms 141:5, I hope our listeners will take away today. Ask the Lord to have people speak into your life, a righteous person, so that you don't stay on the wrong path.
Right, because I think Satan gives us the message, they're not going to listen to you. They're not going to hear what you have to say.
Yeah.
But your own testimony just describes that those are words that will never be forgotten.
Yeah.
Because they know they came from somebody that really loved them and somebody that really cared about them. But the messaging that you're hearing in your head, oh yeah, they're not going to listen to you. They just, don't bother. Because the Bible couldn't be more clear that, oh my goodness, we have an opportunity to speak into somebody's life and something that we really care about. And somebody that we really care about, how long will we just put up with,
And we do need to, again, think about how we're going to do the discipline. We need to do the discipline, but 2 Timothy chapter 2, Paul will talk about when you have to deal with someone to confront them, it's in a spirit of gentleness. But he also gives this picture, when you do that confrontation, you rescue them from the trap of the devil. And when I preached this at Liberty one time, I literally had these traps that were used to catch raccoons and other animals. I had these big steel traps, and I said, that's what Satan wants you in. And when someone steps into your life and says, you're going on a path that's going to get you into a trap, stop going that way. Stop saying those words. Stop looking at that. Stop spending time with that person. It's because they don't want you to get trapped. They're trying to keep you from the trap Satan has set for you. And we have to understand we are dealing with an enemy that wants to devour us. And that's why you have discipline. Many times that discipline is to keep us from being devoured by the enemy.
Right. And when we look at this actual verse, back to go clear back around to, because sentence against evil is not executed speedily, therefore the heart of the sons of men are fully set on them to do evil. That the word sentence in that particular verse is in Hebrew is the edict of the king. It's like a written letter from the king. Right?
I've been waiting for the Hebrew.
Well, I'm just going to share with you that we have 66 books of a written letter from the king. Okay?
That's good.
We're supposed to execute that bad boy as quickly as we possibly humanly can, right? Yeah. And everything that we've talked about, and you can see because of Doc's discipline, he knows these verses. He's studied them. There's a lot that went into the stuff that he's talking about, but all of us have a chance to grow in the truth. And as we grow in the truth, then we're actually fulfilling Ecclesiastes 8 and 11 a way that you maybe had not considered. That our work against evil, anytime you speak the truth, evil is the lies that we believe and the things that are coming into our lives. As we grow in the truth through the scripture, as Doc has, as you've heard him, anybody who spends any time with him knows that, oh my goodness, look at the truth that is growing in his life. And he's executing this sentence of the king. He's executing this edict in his world, which is helping all of us, as you can do to the gift with the gifts that God clearly gave Doc some amazing gifts. I'm going to tell you, but He gave you some too, and our opportunity to fully come alive in those comes through the discipline of actually studying this sentence, this edict of the king, right now.
Yeah, if we examine ourselves, we will not be judged. So you're in the Word, and the Word begins to point out to you things to change. Respond to it. Respond to it with receptivity. Ecclesiastes 8:11 for 8:11. You can see this devotion on Date the Word, www.datetheword.com. Robby,
have an amazing sentence this week.
Amazing sentence this week.